Hi, I'm Jacqui and I'm mum to a 4-year-old daughter and 2-year-old twins. When I found out I was pregnant with the twins, I was quite honestly absolutely terrified. My eldest daughter had been a typical baby. She just wanted to be held for the first 3 months. She fed a lot, she pooed a lot. It was quite exhausting. Knowing that I had that coming ×2 and with a toddler to look after was just really frightening. My twins were born just over 6 weeks early. They were taken straight from me and to the neonatal unit. Although I knew that half of all twins were born early, I hadn't expected them to go into the neonatal unit. I thought that I would carry them to term, so I hadn't really discussed it with my midwife. I wasn't really sure what to expect, and I wasn't prepared at all. When I went in to see them, they were covered in tubes and wires. They were both having breathing support. I wasn't able to hold one of the twins until 11 hours after I'd given birth. The other one I wasn't able to hold for a couple of days. I knew that I wanted to breastfeed. I'd had a really good breastfeeding relationship with my first child, so I was quite confident that I was going to be able to breastfeed too. But I hadn't really thought about how, if they were born early, I wouldn't be able to just breastfeed them straight away. So I started to express breast milk, started to express colostrum. And I found it really difficult. I was only getting a little amount at a time. I was getting quite down about it, quite upset because I was finding it really difficult to do. I hadn't expected to be getting so little, and I was really worried about how much I was producing. I'd read through all the booklets that were given about how to express. I'd looked on YouTube at videos, but it took a really good midwife in the postnatal unit to show me how to hand express. Which really made a world of difference. It made me realise that my technique wasn't brilliant. Which also was like super reassuring about the amount that I was producing and that it was completely normal. In neonatal, it's kind of a numbers game. You have to give the babies X amount of mils per feed, usually every 2 or 3 hours. So you kind of have an amount that you need to be producing to kind of keep up with what they're feeding. And in the start, I couldn't manage that, and there was a lot of pressure to give the babies formula milk, no donor milk available in the neonatal unit that the girls were on. So we agreed, my husband and I, that they would have formula feeds and then be topped up with my milk afterwards. And that was quite demoralising, really, because I hadn't expected that I wouldn't be able to do it myself. I'd been so confident that I'd be able to manage it, and it really hit me. And I just found that it was so exhausting in hospital. Because we already had another child, I was dropping her off at a childminder, driving an hour to the hospital after I'd been discharged. My husband went back to work so that he'd be able to take paternity when the girls came home. So I was there on my own a lot. I was trying to get into a routine of changing them, so I changed one, then changed the second one. While I was doing that, the first one would poo, so I'd have to go back and change the first one. Then the second one would vomit down herself, so I'd then have to change her again. Then I'd have to tube feed one of them, then try and breastfeed them, top up with breast milk, wait for the pump run to become free, pump, clean all the equipment, store the milk away, do all their cares. It was relentless, and that was every 3 hours, night and day. It was just exhausting. And it was just a crazy time. You're kind of in this little bubble, and it's just absolutely exhausting. There was a lot of pressure as well because we weren't allowed to leave the hospital until the girls were fully fed. The nurses in the neonatal unit were absolutely brilliant. They wouldn't allow the girls to have any bottles at all. Either they were cup fed, if they weren't being tube fed, or they were breastfed or tube fed. And I think that really helped because they were kind of as dedicated as I was to getting them fully breastfed. But there was still that kind of pressure there, that thought that if they were on a bottle and they were getting formula, then they would be fully fed and I'd be at home and not having this kind of relentless pressure of having to go to the hospital all the time and sit in that 26-degree heat in neonatal and the stress that comes with it. When we eventually got the girls onto full breastfeeds, we started to minimise the top-ups that they were having for formula, and they started to breastfeed more until they were down to no top-ups at all via the tube. They were just completely breastfed. And then we left the hospital, and I remember one of the doctors saying to me, try and stick to the three-hourly schedule that's been set up while they've been in the hospital, because otherwise you won't get any rest. And I do remember laughing at him and saying, that is not going to happen. You know, I've had a baby already. I know that they don't read the book about feeding every 3 hours, then having their nappy changed, and then going for a nice nap. It just doesn't happen. So I felt quite confident taking them home. It was absolutely exhausting when we were at home because we didn't have the help of the nurses. It was just relentless feeding, changing, wiping up vomit, wiping up poo. If we went out anywhere, it was just exhausting because everybody wants to stop and talk to you when you've got a tiny little baby. They want to tell you about their own premature babies, or tell you about their neighbours, cousins, friends who have twins. So it's just relentless all the time. But it's been fantastic as well. It's been the hardest thing that I've ever done in my life. And I say to other mums who are expecting a baby or expecting twins, it's like running a marathon. It's just so hard, but then you do it and you get to the end, and the sense of accomplishment is just huge. So I don't regret it at all. I just think it's been the most challenging but most fantastic thing I've ever done in my life. And I certainly couldn't have done it without the help of my friends. I went to a peer support group, and the peer supporters were fantastic. And my family as well, who were just confident that I could do it. It's not to say that there weren't times when people would say to me, they're crying a lot, are you sure you've got enough milk, or your milk's probably too thin, or why don't you just give them formula, you'll get some more sleep. And those kind of comments are hard to keep brushing off, but that's why it's so important to have support around you to give you the confidence that you can do this and the confidence in your body. So yeah, just an amazing experience. I'd recommend it to anyone. Thank you.